Sal. His wife was so happy. No.
Right when I'm about to say hello to everybody. Thank you, Jamie. What's up, everybody, the Codex Station? This is a comic character. See, you messed me up. This is the Codex Station's comic character of the week, where we take one character, do the deep dive on that character. You get the badass moments, the top stories, the must-read stories, and the top covers. As usual, I'm joined with my partners in crime down below, Dan the Man Kelly. Well, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, Dan?
You can find me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. I actually don't think I've posted anything this week. I've been so busy with
What?
I've been so busy with stuff with my daughter and stuff that I haven't. So I guess I'll have to post something tomorrow.
Okay.
And yeah, so go check it out. Give me a follow. Give me some likes. Buy some artwork. Give me your money, and then after that,
1K first. 1K for DK. Get him to
1K
1,000.
for DK.
1K for DK, because people like Sonny and I guess me that were looking for the big D yesterday, or we're helping carry it across the line.
That's right. Carry that big D. Why don't you introduce that handsome man next to you?
Oh, he's pretty too, isn't he? Look at that.
He wears 10 pounds of gold. We're all playing catch up with him, and I mean, what there is to say, he's the limousine riding, jet flying, styling, profiling son of a gun.
Hey,
the Ric Flair comics.
Woo! Thank you.
There he is.
Good to see you, Chris. Chris, I'm going to see you on Sunday, baby. Look forward to that. Okay. Yeah, I know. That's what they said. You had the big D. Thank goodness you didn't get it shot off, buddy. when you were serving.
You got chat.
Ouch.
Yep.
Ouch.
Oh, all right. Comic Logic. Find me there. We are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. I'm a proud co-owner. Would love to see you there. Our big events are all over for right now, but we would still love to see you walk through the door. So if you're in Northern Virginia, we're Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. And if you want to see me, you can catch me every Wednesday, get my weekly fix. I'm getting that 4-color ink. I'm getting it right here, injected in these veins, make me strong. It's like venom, buddy.
I'm trying. I can't catch up.
Oh, man, get some big, giant guns on
Jamie,
it.
you need to see some sun, too, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
The problem is no.
There we go. How about some
10?
Look at the triceps. No. Woo, look at the triceps, baby. Anyway, comic books make you strong. I've told you that many times. You lift a book, that ain't enough. Then you lift in a stack of books, that's not enough. Then you lift in a short box, well, hell, that ain't enough. Then you lift in long boxes. And then when you got all these long boxes, you got to stack them, baby. You're taking them here, and you're stacking them here. And you're stacking them higher, and you're stacking them higher. Then you got to move them over here, and you're stacking them there. And by the end of that, you are jacked, baby. Comic books make you strong. Do some push-ups, too.
Do some push-ups, too.
Yeah, do some push-ups.
Do some push-ups.
Yep. And also, want to give big shout-out of love to our buddy, Archduke Kevy, and the comic character of the site day. Comic character of the day site. Man, that thing is blowing up. My God, he's getting ready to pass us in just like 2 weeks' time in subscribers. Everybody is jumping on this train. So congratulations to Archduke Kevy, that great site. And that site is the reason that you see these four lovely faces right here in front of you now, is because we all got acquainted on that site. And Jamie recruited us from that site because he knew the quality that Archduke Kevy was mining, and he pulled us in. But Archduke Kevy, we owe it all to you, buddy. I post the cover of the day. Occasionally I get confused. He said, I thought he wanted a wasp today, but it was that wasp. So, I'll put a cover with a big wasp on it. Maybe I knew different. Maybe I'm just messing with him. But anyway, we have fun doing the covers of the day. Dan does question of the day. Random panel of the day. That's always quite a hoot. And Sal is frequent contributor. And Jamie, just like he does here, it's those eyes. Those eyes are wide and watching, making sure that we give you the content that you deserve. Now, speaking of content you deserve, let's talk about that master builder up there, J-Dub, the man who built this station brick by brick by brick. He leveled the earth, then he laid the foundation in, and he spread the concrete, and then he started putting the rebar in, and he started constructing the walls, and we're going up, 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 ever skyward, getting higher, level by level, floor by floor, and now we have a vision where we can see out into the giant vista, into the horizon. And the reason we can see that far is because the vision of the man right up there, J-Dub. The reason we had vision is because he had vision. The creator, J-Dub.
Yes, thank you. I love that. Without you guys, there is no vision, by the way. So shout out to everybody on the team. But there is something we want to give everybody, Uncle Gary. And I don't know if
listen,
forget it.
listen. All these faces that you see right in front of you, we have all the socials. And we're literally dripping with the socials. And we would love nothing more than to give them to you.
Yes. And you can also find all the socials on thecodeXstation.com. That's where you can get some merch, meet the team, let us know what you like, don't like. Find us on those socials as well. And see our new videos and see the description of the team. Like, you get the more in-depth there than anywhere else.
Right. You want to see what shows Uncle Gary's on? Click on Uncle Gary. You want to see what shows what Dan's on? Click Dan. Shows you everything.
You want to see when I'm there? Leave it alone.
Leave it alone. Yeah, you want that.
See that fabulous bio.
Yeah, and Sal created that wonderful format that you see on that website. So we have another creator in our midst. So
yes,
we have another creator, my mother.
Yep, she did. She created a one-of-a-kind object to art.
Yeah, Dan's got chat, and he's just like,
"Hello, Jamie." What?
Are you working the chat, Dan, or am I working the chat?
He's working the chat.
I am.
Yes.
All right. Well, none of you told me. I have to.
I said that at the beginning.
News to him.
There he is. There you go.
Sal's my hero.
You're welcome, Stu. You're my hero, buddy. You're my hero.
Well, he is. Yes, he did. See, one of a kind. I knew.
Yeah.
One of a kind. A baby boy.
All right, we're gonna wait on Dan to pop back in here so that he has the ability to work the chat. But are you guys looking forward to tonight's character? I know I am.
Yeah, I'm all abuzz with anticipation on this character.
Oh, there you go.
There
you
see what I did there?
Yeah.
I don't break out in hives or anything when I talk about this character.
I do.
And he's back.
Yeah. Well, there is kind of a lie in that statement about Comic Logic. There is an event coming. It's just not for a little bit.
What are you talking about? What, Baltimore?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a big event. Well, actually, before that, we do have the Big Lick. I mean, not Big Lick. It's the Fairfax Comic Con. We're doing August. I think it's 15, 16, 17.
We have a lot of the X-Men voices there.
Yeah, a lot of the and Paul Miotti and Amanda Connor will be there, which is a big deal. So Comic Logic is going to set up there, and so I'll be there all weekend. I don't know, maybe Sal and Dan will drive on down. It's at the same place as Big Lick was, Dulles Expo Center.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we
Joe,
are.
Yes, we are, Joe.
I'm sure people they may have some references with maybe some of the newer iterations in. I mean, we can certainly, but the main focus is Miss Van Dyne.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was talking about the crossover between Comic Logic and Codex.
Well, that's post Baltimore. That looks like there are forces coming together. That there may be one big post Baltimore debrief on air live jam session.
Yes, so, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be a fun time.
And I imagine they'll be live. We'll do stuff live while we're there too. So
yeah, that's definitely gonna happen. We will make that work. I'm bringing all the gear. So
there you go. Well, the post-mortem will be the Monday after Baltimore, and we'll see who's still able.
We're all just sitting there like it was great.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it's
nice.
It's a hell we can shoot. I'm so wiped out from walking with this bum leg of mine. Oh man, I am hurting. I am hurting that Monday. That's a recovery day for sure.
Absolutely. All right, are you guys ready to jump in and start this comic character of the week?
Yeah, let's kick it off, baby.
If you say so, Sal.
I do actually, and we're gonna go with Tim's favorite theme.
Oh, I love this. Woo.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the live show now for Comic Character of the Week. As usual, I've got Dan the Man Kelly, the Ric Flair of comics, and
Woo!
Master Builder J-Dub right there. How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Good.
Yes,
Good.
and see, wouldn't be a great night if my lights didn't change on their own. Looks
Well,
like
that's
it's cold, you know?
that's because you've
Always.
abused fixtures in your past.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
Inside
And not in
joke.
the fun way.
Yeah. Guess I got Ghost in the Machine, huh?
There you go.
I see what you did there. Jeff Johns is going to send you a cease and desist order.
Oh, okay. I'll throw on the stack of other ones I've got. Well, folks, we are going to go do a deep dive on the Wasp, Janet Van Dyne herself, and we're going to give you all the must-read stories, the badass moments, some top covers to look at, and, of course, all our extra commentary as well. Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off and give us the intro for this?
All right. Well, she was created by Stan Lee, Ernie Hart, and Jack Kirby. What a surprise! A Marvel character created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. First appeared in June 1963 in Tales to Astonish number 44. Do you have that one, Gary?
Let me tell you something. This is one of the few and rare occasions that I had a book and I traded it for something. I had that book and I traded it. I think I decided I didn't care that much. It was a cool cover. I didn't care that much, but I was gonna use it to complete some of the early Daredevils I needed. And I do have a complete run of Daredevil, so I mean that worked out. I mean, we get it, but I do wish I had held on to it, and oh well.
Wow. Okay.
But that's a rarity for me to let a book go. I let that book go.
So, the Wasp is Janet Van Dyne, who was a wealthy socialite daughter of a scientist named Vernon Van Dyne. During one of his experiments, he unleashed. This is such an old school Marvel origin. He unleashed an alien entity that killed him, and she decided she needed to avenge him. So she got a scientist that worked with her father to help her, a scientist named Hank Pym, who used his Pym particles on her so that she could shrink, and he has her undergo a procedure that will allow her to grow the wings out of her back when she shrinks so that she can fly around. And together they teamed up to defeat the alien. She decided she wanted to stay the Wasp and become a superhero, and she partnered with Hank, and then eventually was one of the founding members of the Avengers, and also the person that named the Avengers.
Yes, she did.
Yep.
As far as her powers, she can change her body size from shrinking to just a few centimeters to growing as tall as several hundred feet. At miniature size, strength remains normal, but when she goes giant size, she gets superhuman strength. And when she shrinks, she also grows as I mentioned, the pair of wings out of her back that allow her to fly. And she can also use her body's bioelectric energy to fire electrical blasts out of her hands.
Nice. That's awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's go with scenarios that work best for the Wasp. And Uncle Gary, why don't you kick us off for that?
Well, when Wasp was first created, she was usually, in the early stories, especially with the Avengers, she was usually, the Avenger that was captured and they all had to rescue. So,
that was
really,
the 60s.
Yeah, that was the 60s, damsel in distress. And she was always complimenting how handsome the men were to try to get Hank jealous and things like that. So it was kind of not so good, but things really improved in the Avengers in the late 80s or mid 80s, where she took over and became chairman of the team. And she is one hell of a leader of the Avengers. I mean, arguably after Cap, she may be the best leader of the Avengers. And
Right.
She kicked ass, and she's smart, and she's clever. And, people underestimated her, but she is someone that can walk in in a man's world and not take any shit from anybody. So I think that's where she works best, when she is one hell of a tough broad that's smart, that's intelligent, is clever, is decisive, and is very strategic. And, she's one of those leaders that knows how to use her pieces on the chessboard. So
Yes.
that's where I think she is her absolute best, when she is leading a group of heroes, and she is, she may not be the strategist Cap is, but I think she's every bit the leader, and in far as how to motivate people and to know what makes each one tick and to put people together in certain situations. I think she is I think in that way she is quite a that is an innate character of leadership when you're putting a team together. She is a great assembler of a team, of getting the right roster to go out there and kick ass. So that's where I think she works best.
Yep. All right, Jamie, how about you? What do you think works best for her?
I'm mirroring Uncle Gary on this one because a lot of my moments come from her leadership skills.
Yep. I agree.
It's like he said, compared to Cap, I think she might be even better as strategically. Like, she's underutilizing that aspect. She works best as leader of any team she's on, and I just don't think she gets enough credit for that.
Yep, I agree with that. That's actually one of my things I don't like about her. I don't think she gets enough credit, or I think she's underused. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I'll go next on this one then. I like you guys said, I'm going to echo it. She's a good leader. She knows how to put a team together. She's always frequently been the voice of reason. She knows how to advise teammates on personal matters too. So she's more rounded, I would say, than Cap. Cap knows how to go in, say, and do a strategy and do a fight, but Cap was never the personal leader, like, to talk to or something like that. I think that she has been the one that people can talk to about anything. So I think she
Cap never assembled the team. He was never the guy to assemble a group like she could.
Right, exactly.
Like that just shows the strategic ability she has, because you have to assemble based on characters' criteria.
Well, it's like a great baseball manager, right?
Yeah.
There's something. You look at the San Diego Padres of a few years ago. They had all this superstar talent. They couldn't get out of each other's way. But then you have a team, when the Nationals won the World Series a few years ago, it's just, you get that secret sauce. I mean, that Bryce Harper had just left. Their best hitter had just left. But there's something about a clubhouse, the way it comes together, and it just goes out there and it wins. And that's what she could do. She could create the team that you put in that clubhouse.
And it's using those chess pieces that you have like on the table, basically. Strategically, she is, I think, better than Cap at that point.
Okay, very good. All right, Dan, how about you? Do you want to add anything to that conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she's a better leader than Cap.
I knew he was going to say that.
What?
I knew you were going to say that.
I mean, it's not just because I'm a Cap fan. It's just, there's a reason that whenever there's one of these big events that, the gods and the scientific geniuses and all that are choosing him to lead them. But she is a great leader. She's more of a people person than Cap is. And so I think it's great when she leads a team. She's fantastic like that. But I also like, that she is still fun loving, and she does still go out and do the socialite stuff, especially when she's, the friendship that she has with She-Hulk, and that she's willing to, she takes it seriously when she has to, but then when it's downtime, like some of the others, don't go out and have fun, and she's like, yeah, let's go out, let's party, let's have fun. And I think it's good that they keep both aspects of her going. And then recently in the Avengers Inc. book, they had her take on a new kind of role as almost like a private detective type of thing like that, and she excelled in that as well. So when she's in charge and she's running the show, she's definitely good.
As far as having fun, I think the only Avenger that had more fun than her was Beast, right, Sal?
I don't recall Beast being an Avenger, though.
Oh,
maybe you're probably talking about Beast as an
you're
X-Men
not old
having
enough
fun.
for this early onset dementia. We've had entire shows where you've seen how the Beast is an adventure.
No, she was not a member of the Fantastic Four, but that would be an interesting. It would be interesting if she had to fill in there.
And I agree with Dan. She is not a better field leader for sure. Cap is the ultimate field leader. I mean, That's
Yeah.
evidenced in JLA Avengers when
Yeah.
the JLA and the Avengers put Cap in charge of leading the combat unit. But like I said, but as far as I guess it's more like a general manager more than a coach. I see
Right.
her as the general manager that can really put the team together and lead. But in that aspect, I think she, is. I give her credit for being the best assembler of talent. But a field leader, Cap is the ultimate field leader of any.
She's a good scout.
Yeah, well, she's a great general manager, great
Yeah,
scout.
I agree with that.
Yep.
I agree with that.
Knows
All right,
talent.
so
Knows talent.
yep, that is true. That is true. So on for our next segment is badass moments. And Dan, I'll let you kick off for badass moments. What do you have for that?
In Secret Wars 4, the good one, not the Hickman one.
Yep, I know which way you're going. Damn it.
Yeah, it's in issue 4. Excuse me. In issue 4, when Magneto is kind of gone off on his own, and she goes with Magneto, and he's doing the thing where he's like pulling all the little metal particles out of the air to make a brush for, and she's acting like, oh, this is so great. Yeah, I'm with you. Thanks. And then the X-Men show up, and she just kind of zaps him and shrinks down like, I was just messing with you, and goes and alerts the Avengers so that, so they can come start to take them down. That was pretty good. Next one I'm going to go to is Avengers number 271. It was the start or the beginning of the
Under Siege.
That storyline, and she's the leader of the Avengers, and Hercules is really questioning her. And for a few issues, it was usually him kind of having thought bubbles, like, who is she to tell me I'm Hercules, and what is she to do to tell me that? And then finally, she says something he doesn't like, and he stands up to her, and he starts questioning her, and she just is up in his face, telling him like, this is how it's going to be. Shut up. Toe the line, this, and here's like, how dare you? And she was like, how dare you? And she just had no qualms standing up to to Hercules, one of the strongest guys in the Marvel universe, to the point where he backs down and he's just like stomps off. So I thought that was pretty badass. And then I kind of had a tie between the last two, so I'll go with another one that was just a few issues later in Avengers 275, when the villains are all starting to kind of attack the Avengers on different fronts, and Absorbing Man and Titania come in and are going after her and Ant-Man, who is Scott Lang at the time, and she manages to single-handedly beat Absorbing Man, which, if anybody knows anything about Absorbing Man, he is potentially one of the most powerful villains out there that you could fight, and is also super tough. And this is the guy that's gone toe-to-toe with Thor, Hercules, the Hulk, all of these heavy hitters, and she manages to take him out on her own.
Crusher Creel is a badass, but he's a dumbass.
Yeah.
That's his weakness.
Yep.
I did really like him when they used him in the that Gamma Flight series.
You did or you didn't?
I did.
So did I.
Yeah.
Him and Titania. Yep.
But dumb as a rock.
Dumb as a rock. And he didn't even have to absorb the rock's power to be that dumb.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
So
Awesome.
that's what I got, but I got one more off to the side, so if nobody mentions it, I'll drop it at the end.
All right. Uncle Gary, why don't you go next?
All right, here we go. So I'm also going to echo the fact that she beat Titania and she beat the Absorbing Man by herself. And after that, she marshaled the troops and rescued Cap and some of the other Avengers by reserves she called in, and leading the charge to take back Avengers Mansion. And so she was a badass in that. Another one in Uncanny Avengers 15. Taking down the Absorbing Man is one thing. She took down the Sentry, who was possessed at the time by the Void. She had a little help from Thor, but she took down the Sentry. Man, that she controlled this giant insect creature that just gobbled them up and messed them up, hit them hard. But still, she took down the Sentry and was talking shit to him too about it. So that was pretty impressive. And then the other thing is kind of not so God. There's two, but I think I'm going to go with this. So who's the longest running Avengers chairman?
I would say either Cap or Wasp. Yeah,
Cap. Who's number 2?
Wasp.
That's badass. So of all the great Avengers, Cap's been chairman the longest, the second longest. That gal right there.
Yep.
Right there. So I think that's pretty badass for her to be second on that roster.
Didn't she also help form with the West Coast Avengers as well?
Well, I think she had the maybe she gave Hawkeye the idea. She wasn't on that original team, but she did become a West Coast Avenger at one time.
Right,
yeah,
right.
She was part of the team, but she wasn't one of the founders.
No, she wasn't one of the founders. She but her and Hank were a part of the team at one point.
Yeah.
So, but almost any team she's on, she becomes a natural leader for that team. And I'm saying post Avengers 217 or whenever it was, because when she first became chairman, she tells Thor, Iron Man, and Cap she deserves to be chairman. She wants the job, and damn if they didn't all vote for her. So that's pretty ballsy right there, Miss Van Dyne. So there you go. That's badass. Those are my 3.
Awesome. Jamie, do you want to go next, or do you want me to go next?
I can go next. I'll get it out of the way. I had Avengers 275 on my list. So there's not much more to say. I wrote it a little differently, but you guys hit it right on the head. So I have reforming the Avengers, and this is from Avengers #1 from 2012. And I had, after the events of Avengers versus X-Men, Janet takes the initiative to reform the Avengers, bringing together a new team with a fresh vision. Her role in the formation of the Avengers Unity Squad emphasizes her commitment to unity and her vision for a better world. And it's a badass moment that highlights her resilience and dedication to the Avengers cause. And it just showcases building her team and the strategic ability to do that I was talking about earlier. And then I have leading the Avengers against Korvac in Avengers 177. And again, another leadership role that she had that was just badass. Despite the overwhelming power from the cosmic being himself, she rallies the Avengers and leads them in a battle and basically just takes the role over. So
right.
Well, under one of her stints as leader, she recruited a lot of women into the Avengers, and at one point there were more women than men in the Avengers, and that was pretty cool.
Yes.
Yep. Oh yeah, that was the A-Force.
Mm-hmm. A-Force book, yeah.
Yeah, because that was all women.
Yeah.
All right, so 2 of mine were taken. One was beating Absorbing Man and Titania.
Everybody had that. Yeah.
Everybody had that. That's a badass moment. You can't knock that down. The other one was from Secret Wars that Dan had mentioned. He she's kidnapped by Magneto, but does she get scared? No. She just turns on that charm. It's just like, oh, you're so great. Tell me your plan. Magneto's like, here's my plan. And she's like, okay, bye. It's just takes off and goes on back to the Avengers. Like, okay, this is what this idiot's doing. That type of thing. Badass moment. My last one is only a single panel badass moment, but I loved it when I was reading through some badass moments that when I was researching too. She's on the West Coast Avengers at this point, I believe, but I don't know the issue number. But she has the power of the Giant Man particles as well. But she's popping up in the streets of San Francisco. She's holding the truck like this, and she's like, "Hiya, boys, how's it hanging?" Like someone's about to get their ass handed to them.
That almost made it.
What issue was that from? I couldn't find the issue with it, but I did read that.
Was that during the Burn? That was during the Burn run, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I believe so.
That was probably in the 50s. That was in the 50s, I believe.
All right. Well, I'm going to do some more research on my own to find that issue as well. So, yep. So there's my 3 badass moments. Dan, was there anyone mentioned, or does that other one still stand out?
No, there was another one. It happened during Uncanny Avengers when Banshee had been brought back to life as a horseman of apocalypse.
Yeah.
And they're fighting him, and the way that she beats Banshee is she can't get through, his armor and his suit and all that, so she flies into his throat and then bursts out through his throat, like tearing up his vocal cords and killing him a second time.
Wow.
That's
badass.
Yeah. Ouch.
That is badass.
I don't remember which issue it was, but it was that first run of Uncanny Avengers where they were like trying to find something like with Apocalypse's kids, and Acuna was doing the artwork.
Okay. Very good. So moving on to our next segment, which is critiques and criticisms regarding the Wasp. I'll go first on this one because it's pretty short. I didn't like how she was treated in the beginning. Like Gary said in the beginning, she was very much a damsel in distress. She really wasn't. She was very much the eye candy for any type of situation. And, it was the 60s. It is what it is back then. But I'm glad they have changed that now and made a more prominent role for her, being the leader and being a strategist and stuff like that. So that's the only thing I really didn't like about her. I wish she would be more prominent in stories. A lot of times she's just there as background noise, you might say. Oh, there's Wasp is with us over there, that type of thing. So I really wish she would stand out more in stories. And I know she has, as the years have gone on, but I'd like to see that continue. So that's what I have. Jamie, how about you? What do you got?
Honestly, I just, like you said, the whole being a background character, to me, it's just
a disservice.
You're not getting anywhere by doing that with her. And I can even go as far as say I hate the team up with her and Ant-Man because of the fact that it's Ant-Man in front and her always being behind, like a foot behind, and that shouldn't be how it is.
Yeah.
Like I like Ant-Man. I have no problems with him. We've done an episode. Go check it out. But it's the fact of like he should not lead the book, in my opinion, at all. It should be her. And she should be on the front of every cover, no matter how small or big you make her.
I 100% agree with that. 100% agree. All right, Uncle Gary, what you got? What don't you like about her?
Well, like I reiterated earlier, she was always the one that was captured. And they had to go save, and that was always such, yes, it's a product of its time. And then, also the fact that she was kind of portrayed as a vapid socialite. And, she was always just trying to get Hank jealous to marry her, by commenting on how handsome Thor was and things like that. So just, that was just a ridiculous writing for that character back then. But again, product of its time. I think, you all have very valid points that now she's a bit too much of a background character considering the gains this character made from the mid 80s all the way up to, through the early 2000s, where this character became always boy crazy, where she became a major character. I mean, and some of the quirks were fun. I love the fact that she's constantly redesigning her costume and a fashion designer and all that. I think that's a great quirk of the character, and that made sense for her to be a successful designer after that. But again, a woman of substance that can run a business, can run a team, and all this. But it seems like the gains the character has made is just they're on the back burner now because she's not like right now Captain Marvel's leading the Avengers team, and the Avengers, the Wasp could certainly be a part of that team, leading that team.
It's upsetting too because like that book feels like she needs to be inserted somewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that's what I feel like is missing. McKay's doing an awesome job, but
it's just a shame that this great character is just not being utilized right now.
Yep, I totally agree. All right, Dan, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going to echo that. It's just underused when she is used, taking away her authority. When we get to the essential reading, there was a recent book that she was the front and center star of. And if you guys remember, when it was coming out every month, when we were doing Comics Unleashed After Dark, every month week when the book came out, I was like, this book's fantastic. It's so great. And then they canceled it and it sucked, but she was, the lead of that book. And, and they haven't really done anything. Granted, it's only been a few months, but that, haven't really done anything with her since. And that's disappointing. And you think about it too, when she helped form the Avengers, she named the Avengers. She was the most prominent female character Marvel had at the time, because that's who the Avengers were. The Avengers were like their, most prominent characters outside of, like Fantastic Four and stuff. They were like, here's all of our top, this was their Justice League. Here's all of our top characters. We're putting them on there. And she went from being the most prominent member of the Avengers to, or prominent character in Marvel to just at this point being a background character. And, they've never really given her own ongoing book. She's been a prominent member of the Avengers. She's had mini series here and there and team ups and here and there and stuff, but there hasn't ever been a book like The Wasp that was an ongoing book, for a long time. And for a character who's been around as long as she has and is, as interesting as she is, I feel like she deserves to have her own book at some point. At least, give her a shot at a regular series, give her a good creative team, and let it go.
I'm with you on that, though. I would say in that era, the most prominent female Marvel character was Sue Storm.
Yeah,
I would put her ahead of the Wasp.
Well, I guess I meant the most prominent female, like if you want to say solo character when they put the Avengers together.
I would say the most prominent female Marvel character that wasn't Sue Storm.
Yeah. And there weren't really a lot of female superheroes that Marvel had at the time anyways.
No, there weren't. There weren't very many at all. And the Widow was a villain at the time, and then she was good, but she only appeared here and there. So after Sue, the Wasp was Marvel's female superhero. You just didn't have really any others.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta even look at the MCU and how they brought her, like, just the character, not Janet specific, but like you had the whole, like, an Endgame A-Force lineup basically in there, like promoting it with the Wasp front and center. Like I said, not same character, but still like a predominant character.
Yeah,
same aspects. You're not doing people favors by keeping this character locked behind doors.
I agree.
I agree.
And see, as far as her teaming up with Ant-Man, I like when she does the team ups more with Scott, because he hasn't been Ant-Man as long, though at this point he's been a long time, but he still has that kind of at times has that kind of inferiority complex, where when she teams up with Hank is the dominant one because he was a superhero longer. He has all the extra powers. He's the one that gave her powers. So he's, the dominant kind of personality there. But when she teams up with Scott, she becomes the dominant personality, and it's like him looking up to her.
I agree.
It's so hard for her not to be. That's the thing. Like, Scott is more inferior, but at the same time, they're trying to push him to be better than everybody, like her in that book. And that's the thing that, like, kills me. Yeah. Like, every time at the end of the book, he's shining, she's not.
Yep. All right, so let's go ahead and jump to our next segment, which is top covers. And since I am working the controls for top covers, I'm going to put mine up first. Here we go. Ready for mine?
That Uncle Gary comes up.
So, of course, I've got the Tales to Astonish, number 44. It has her on the cover. This is,
I missed that book. I never should have got rid of it.
They never should have gotten rid of it, Gary. Never should have gotten rid of it.
Yep.
But I do like how she's saving Ant-Man in this situation. So it's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. Next in the middle there is Avengers Volume 3, number 71. This is the B cover. And cover artist here is J.G. Jones. But it reminds me so much of Alex Frost's work. And I love the depth perception on this, because you get to see the guy behind her rolling the dice. So you got the dice just to her side. You got the chips just behind her. And then, of course, you got the characters in the back. There's also the big die right over top of her head, which is pretty cool. And, of course, you've got Hank Pym right there. I guess he's Yellow Jacket at that
Yellow
point.
Jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's in the background, which I'm okay with.
And
Stuff
that
him in the
was
background.
and that was a Wasp and Yellow Jacket centric issue too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes,
And
it was.
that opening scene in it was one where you kind of like eyes went a little wide and we're like, oh, okay.
Okay. Yes, indeed. So my last one there is Wasp Volume 1F. This is Wasp Volume 1F. This is the F cover. The cover artist here is Russell Donterman. But I like this one because it's showing you different iterations of the Wasp. I kind of like that. That's pretty cool.
all the costumes, I love it.
Yeah, all the concepts and on there. This is pretty wicked. So that's what I have for my top covers. Let's see who's next on the list. I got Gary next on the list. Uncle Gary, you ready for your covers?
Yep, I'm ready. We'll
right,
have a
you go.
repeat in there. Yep.
That's all right. There you go.
So,
That's a good one.
Yep. Let's go with
Oh,
the
I
one.
love that. There's Bond.
Yep,
That's
the
nice.
one in the center again. J.G. Jones, Avengers 71. Like Sal said, the perspective on that is everything. I just think it's really cool. The wings are so well done in that, but yeah, the dice and the chips and even the rings the clown's wearing that's throwing the dice.
Yep.
So I just think it's a really cool cover. And the one on the far left is I ended up putting a lot of Greg Land covers on here, but it's Avengers Beyond #2. It's Greg Land, and I just think that's a badass cover. The dude's got blood all over him. She's got his blood on her, and she's got the electricity from her, stings charged up and ready to zap you. So I just love the, I love that, and she's coming right at you, right at
Yep.
you. So,
That's a pretty badass cover. I like that one.
yeah, I do too. And trying to knock her out there, I mean, you might screw around and like break a light fixture or something,
Yeah, we don't want to break any light fixtures.
Yeah, you don't want to break any light fixtures.
We do not condone light fixture breaking here.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Not to kill a wasp.
That's right. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, Sal. Anyway, okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Hashtag clap back.
Shut up. Moving on.
Moving on. The one on the right was a book that Dan had alluded to, Avengers Inc., that I also was reading every month and loving. So there's Janet Van Dyne in her guise as the head of this kind of a detective agency. This is very much a noir, a crime book. And you got the body outlines, and you got her looking badass wearing that suit, and the looking over her glasses, and that finger up in the air with the bioelectric energy just crackling off of it. So I just love I love the attitude. And of course, Vic Shade behind her, the Vision. So I just love the attitude of that. So
there's like body chalk lines on that as well.
Yes,
that's pretty cool.
Body chalk lines, and then you have the little evidence
numbers
markers at the top and the guns. So very much a crime book, very cool, and also ties into Bougie. It was a cool book. It's an easy book to get. It's only Dan, what was it, 5 issues?
5 issues,
Yep.
And you can get all the issues either at cover price or less, or you could pick up the trade.
Absolutely. So it's good, just a cool read. And you know what? I mean, I don't think any of this was canon, right, Dan? Wasn't this kind of quit touching yourself, Gary? Snoop, you know what? I've got to touch myself just enough to remind me how great others have it when they touch me. So there you go.
No, that book.
I said, who wants to fucking touch me?
As far as I know, that book is canon.
Okay, well then maybe it is canon. I thought it was kind of a alternate, or I took it as kind of a an offshoot of the regular, Marvel comic universe. But if it's canon, then that's cool.
I think so, yeah, because Luke Cage was, he was mayor of New York, and he's the one that said, you can't wear costumes. You got, so that's why.
Okay, all right. Well then,
and it had Hank coming back with the reason why he had died and had to come back and all that.
Then it's canon. Everything in that happens for real, and it should have a lasting impact.
Yes,
I hope so.
Very good.
All right, Jamie, I got your covers queued up. You ready?
No.
Okay. Too bad. Here we go. Ba-bam.
Oh, Jamie went old school. Oh, and
Yeah,
the Liberators too.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yes.
So first off, obviously, I have the formation of the Avengers from Avengers #1, and the funny thing is when I was picking my covers, I did want some that were like, okay, she has to be that size in at least one of the covers. I found two, so
Yep.
worked out. But I mean, Avengers #1, you don't get any better than that. Next up, Avengers 83, and I love this one because this is the all female like cast to me.
Yep.
Like this is the one where like that A-Force idea kind of came to fruition to me. You know, you never seen all leading ladies on a page or a cover.
Yeah.
You know, and then lastly, like we were talking about the suit changing consistently. I can't tell you why I love this cover so much, other than the fact that the colors just pop, and she looks like she's having fun.
I love the eyeball.
Yeah, it I don't like. I'm drawn to this. Like I feel like I need to get another copy and put it on the wall.
It's a cool cover.
There you go.
Well, that's one of the later ones. That's Nadia.
That's Nadia. Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's still cool.
to me it's just I just love that costume and having a Wasp front and center and not be one of your guys' picks.
Yep, and the first Avengers one, okay, of course that's Kirby. The second one there should be a Buscema.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, Dan, you ready for your covers?
Sure.
There you go. Bam.
Yep.
All
Right,
right.
he's
So,
got one with cap on it. Who would have saw that coming?
Yeah, who saw that coming?
all the way on the end is 340. It's by the great Ron Lim. I just like how Jamie was saying have one of her showing her size. So even though she's big, on the cover, when you see Cap behind her, you see the scale of how shrunk down as she is. And of all of her costumes, that blue and white one is one of my favorite ones that she had, and I think it looks really cool with the red, white, and blue of Cap's costume behind her. And then the whole thing of like, Cap, I think we have a small problem, I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, I like it.
The middle one, Avengers issue 43. I forget which volume this is, but again, I like that. Okay, even though with her and Ant-Man, even though they're big on the cover, you could see behind them with the salt shaker and the menu and stuff on the table that like what their size really is. And I like the whole black, white, and red for the cover, especially because both of their early costumes were very, were mostly red and black. So I dig that one. And then
Who did that cover? Was that Sammy?
It looks like it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. But and then the one all the way in the end, the variant for Wasp #1, I just thought that was amazing. Where it just showed. I mean, other than the fact that the artwork looks gorgeous, the fact that it shows all of her costumes. Even the weird one when she was like, part wasp creature, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It just shows all of the different costumes, and you can just look at it. And just spend a few minutes just looking at it and going from one to the other and picking out all the different ones. I thought that was cool. And for such a long time that such a big part of her character was that she was always changing costumes. I like that they have one that just highlights all of the different ones.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I really do like that. Yeah.
And I'm sure it probably had to take a little bit of research for the artist to be like, all right, I need you to all right, Marvel, I need you to give me, examples of every single costume she's ever had. That's going to go back a ways.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's going to be a while.
That was something Perez started. Perez started that.
Yeah. All right. Cool covers. So our next segment is actually the essential readings, but first we got to do a sponsor. Jamie, what do we got for our sponsor tonight?
All right, let's start it off. You guys hear it every time, but guys, go check out W Energy over at w.gg. Guys, this is the cleanest form of energy drinks on the market today. No jitters, no bad aftertaste, nothing like those Red Bulls or Monsters. it's amazing. Everyone obviously on the team has it or have had it and tried it, and it gives us the energy we need to get through these shows. And if you go to their website and order anything at checkout, use the keyword code -X and save yourself 10% on that order and every order moving forward.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I forgot to put up the ticker. There you
You're
go.
good.
There you go.
I think I got the point across.
You did get the point across. Yep.
Yes.
But make sure you use the keyword at checkout. Save 10%. There you go. Sorry.
No problem. And if you guys want more covers like that, go check out NirvanaComicsKnoxville.com. Guys, Nirvana Comics has a comic for everyone, and they want to give it to you. It's Tim's exclusive comic shop, and they do giveaways with us as well. So keep watching, keep jumping in. There's some coming, I believe, here for next month. So be ready.
Very good. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the next segment, which is essential readings. And Uncle Gary, why don't you kick us off first for your essential readings? Let me throw up your card here for readings.
All right.
You're not there. That's not you. There you go. That's you. Go.
All right. Well, let's start out with Dan's favorite book of the last year, Avengers Inc. And that was went 1 through 5. Al Ewing wrote it. Leonard Kirk did the art, and it was just I love it. I love crime stuff. I love noir. So to have her running the detective agency there with the help of Vic Shade, the Vision, I just thought was brilliant. I love the fact that the Whirlwind, somebody that used to be the Whirlwind, and his animated corpse was a part of this. So I like that because that was her chauffeur that was obsessed with her, and he became Whirlwind. So I like him being a part of it. So Avengers Inc. 1 through 5. It's a really different take on the character, and it's just a little offbeat, a little different. I think you'll dig it. We talked a little bit before about Avengers Under Siege. That's where the Avengers are attacked, and the mansion is taken over, and she assembles, on her own. She that's when she beats Titania and Absorbing Man, and then she assembles a team to take the mansion back from the villains and to rescue the Avengers that were captive. So that shows her leadership skills and how determined she was and what a badass she was. So that's a great read. And Under Siege runs from Avengers 270 to 277, but it's by Roger Stern wrote it. John Buscema, Tom Palmer did the art. So you've got some classic artists on there, and it has been collected in a trade before. So if you don't want to buy the original issues, you can buy it collected in a trade. And the last one is Avengers End Times. And it was volume 4 of the Avengers. Number 31 through 34 were the issues, but it's also been collected in a format where you can get those issues together. Bendis wrote it, Mike Mayhew, Brandon Peterson, and then there was an issue by Terry and Rachel Dotson that was in there. And this comes after she had been dead and out of the Marvel MCU for a while. She was thought killed at the end of the Skrull Secret Invasion takeover. And what happens was, instead of dying, she was dispersed to a microverse. And in this microverse, for years, she had been running from the big bad that ran everything in that microverse. And she was kind of like a guerrilla fighter, fighting pretty much on her own the whole time. And for years, she stayed uncaptured and a thorn in his side. And this is where she rigs a message to be sent out through her Avengers ID card. She's able to rig a message to be sent out to the Avengers that's like a distress signal. And when they realize it's her, they were quite surprised that she is alive, and that they go to the spot where the signal's coming from, and that's when they realize she's in a microverse. So I thought it was a really cool way to bring the character back. And so many times when a character dies and is resurrected, it's just it's a less than stellar storyline, and how they bring her back is kind of hokey. This one was kind of cool because it was very feasible that she was dispersed and here she was in the microverse. So it wasn't that she had ever really died; she had just vanished. So I thought that was a really cool way to bring her back into the fold. So
yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Awesome stories. Dan, I'm gonna throw yours up next. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
All right. Well, I'll start with two of the ones Uncle Gary had. Avengers Inc. You know, like he said, it was unfortunately canceled after 5 issues, but it was fantastic. It was something that I don't think it, in all the years of Avengers had ever really been done like that before. Which was a really cool idea. Introduced a new character, and at the end of the 5th issue, it kind of leaves it with a new Avengers team kind of formed, and then they don't really do anything with it. So hopefully they find a way to touch on that going forward with not just ignoring that it happened and be like, oh, they're all superheroes again, and that they can actually do something with that. Return of the Wasp, it's the same one that Uncle Gary had. It's just what was it End Times?
End Time. Yeah.
The storyline in the actual comic was titled End Times, but when they collected it, if you were going to get the collected volume, it's called Return of the Wasp. And yeah, it was Avengers 31 through 34. So he covered it pretty well. Don't think I need to go back over that, though. I will say that I think it's clear that they borrowed heavily from that story for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Okay.
With Janet being down in the microverse and being thought dead, and she's really down there, and she's running afoul of people.
And if you're a fan of Wonder Man, Return of the Wasp has some good Wonder Man moments in there too.
Yes, yeah, he was pretty integral to that too. And then the last one I have is Avengers Forever. It was a 12-issue series. It's written by Kurt Busiek with art by Carlos Pacheco. And I actually did a review of it that you can check out on our YouTube page. So go check that out. So the basic storyline is that, yeah, Snoop, his artwork on there was fantastic.
That was a good book. It sure was.
So it is the book is Kang fighting against another version of himself, Immortus, and he assembles a team of Avengers from all these different points in time. So you had one of them was Wasp, who was the current day Wasp, but then you had you also had like the current day Hank Pym. You had the Hank Pym from the past when he was Yellow Jacket. He didn't know that he was Hank Pym, and he was off his rocker. You had Captain America from the past when he had kind of like lost his faith in everything, and an old Hawkeye. And you had Avengers from the future with Genisville, Captain Marvel, and Songbird, and with all of these characters in there, she was the one that took charge and led the team. And and I thought that was pretty cool that she's just like, all right, like I said, I'm taking charge, I'm leading it, and having to keep not just all of these different Avengers, but all of these different Avengers from all of these different time periods together and going showed how good of a leader she is.
Yep, that is awesome. Very cool. All right, so I will go next for my readings. And I went with a little bit different to kind of called out some single issues and stuff like that. But Tales to Osiris, the 1994 #1 version, this was a pretty wicked story where they go to Oslo, Norway. It's been plagued by a serial killer. I believe his name was Nut Kane. So, anyhow, he's obsessed with Asgardian mythology, and he kidnaps the judge. He's previously convicted of blah, blah, blah. And Wasp and Hank Pym and Jan Van Dyne are there because he's there to give a speech on, or a lecture, and they happen to run afoul with his plans here. But it's really cool how they bring the Norse mythology into this, and it's just a really cool story. It's a one-shot, so it's probably easy to pick up. It's really called Loki's Dream, so it's definitely one to check out. Next up I got is Avengers 1998, 1 through 11. This is the Hero's Return. where they came back from Onslaught, I believe, if I remember right. This was a
Right.
good one because I think this really sets up her as being a more prominent or prominent leader, but she doesn't really have a starring role, but she does, I think she's a little bit more prominent leader in this one, and I just like the way she was portrayed in this one as well. So I chose 1 through 11. You could probably go a little bit longer on that, but I chose 1 through 11 just to keep the reading short. My next one on the list is Tales of Astonished Volume 1, number 57. I picked this one because this is where she gets her first iteration of her stingers, but they're not really stingers. It's like powerful air blast or a CO2 blast, you might say. So she's knocking people over with it or knocking objects over with it because she didn't have the actual stingers at this point. This is the first time she was using them, and they were actually like CO2 blasts. So I thought that was pretty cool and something to check out. All right, Jamie, you're next. Are you ready?
Yeah, always.
All right, here we go. There you are.
All right, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about Under Siege. Uncle Gary literally took the words off my notepad here.
Yeah. Usually does that.
I hate it when that.
He's lying about being a tech guy because literally it's almost everything I had. But next up, I do have the Bride of Ultron. Now, when I say this, the most messed up concept of a story I've ever read. Basically, Ultron returns and he wants a mate for himself.
Of course
and
he does.
Captures Janet and transforms her into a robotic version. And this story is just crazy. It's from Avengers 161 to 162, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But, despite Ultron's control, it does show her, basically rescuing herself and defeating Ultron. And it does take that emotional toll of what being a hero is. Like, you're never going to know what situation you're going to be in. And it kind of like when I was talking about with Animal Man, it just takes that toll on you as a person later on. Lastly, I got Secret Invasion. I know a lot of people hate this storyline, but this is from Brian Michael Bendis, and art is by Francis Yu. Basically, the Skrulls invade Earth. They're trying to wipe out all the heroes, and by being able to do that, they turn Janet into a bomb, basically. But with this storyline, what really got me is her sacrifice. She was the one to lay down on the grenade and sacrifice herself to save not just the heroes, but the world in general.
Yep.
And that's when, and she was going to take as many of them out as she could.
As she did.
I think that's when Thor hit her with a bolt from his hammer and dispersed her instead of killing her. But for years, we thought she was dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There we go. And we're back. All right. Good stories, guys. Good stories.
Good picks.
Definitely must reads. Definitely must reads.
I like Sal picking the one where she blew guys over.
I knew you'd like that one.
Oh yeah, I saw what you did there.
I did that especially for you.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and jump to our next segment, which is Best Writer and Artist. And these are two guys that don't necessarily have to be working on the book at the same time, but when we think of this character, these are the guys we go to. Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off first on that?
All right, so for writer, I am going to go. There have been a lot of great writers, Avengers writers over the years, but I'm going to have to go with Kurt Busiek, mostly because of the Avengers Forever book, but he also wrote the Volume 3 Avengers for a long time when it came back, and she was part of that team. So, I like how he had her, especially in Avengers Forever, as the leader that was handling being in charge of this disparate group of Avengers that were plucked from like all different points of time, and she remembered, she's like, because they didn't know who they all were at first, like which versions of them, and then she was the ones like, this is the version of Cap, like, right after he kind of lost his faith in in the government because of what was going on with his book. Like, I need to handle him this way. Like, oh, this is Hank when he was Yellow Jacket and didn't know that he was Hank. I got to handle him this way, and knew how to do all that. And for artists, I mean, it's got to be George Perez.
Yeah.
It was such a fantastic artist on Avengers Volume 1 and Volume 3. And like Gary said, he kind of led the way with doing the stuff with her having all of the costume changes all the time. That was such a big part of her character for a very long time. And I mean, he's George Perez,
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that. Let me tell you.
Yeah. You just say the name and people know, like, oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fair point. All right, Uncle Gary, who do you got? It's just not the wall. Stop staring at the wall.
I'm looking. I have an Avengers poster by Perez. It's the 30th anniversary of the Avengers, so I guess it would come out in '93, and it's got like 28 different versions of the Wasp flying around the border with 28 different costumes. So I was just counting them up, which is kind of cool. So anyway, Perez was a god. Yes, he was.
Snoop.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's take the drama out of that. Best artist, of course, it's George Perez. And just adding that little, that's just the little thing about all the different costume designs and all she did. But it's, it's a little thing, but it's really a big thing. It's just an insight into how cool that character is and how inventive she is, and just, I just love the design sense of it, and I just think it's just a really integral part of the character. That's just, it's not the most important part, but it's just really cool. So I dig that a lot. So George Perez, hats off to you, my friend.
It found a way to like take a part of her non-superhero life and make it part of her superhero life.
Well, you know what? Right, it made her more three-dimensional. Makes her more real to us. So I'm going to say for writer, I'm going to pick the writer that did a lot of the work on her first big stint as a leader, including the Under Siege storyline, and that's Roger Stern. I think Under Stern is when she really, they really fleshed out the leadership skills of this character and set her on that path that other writers, like Dan said, like Busick, have used so well. But I think Stern's the one that really set that template to use this character in such a important way. So I'm gonna give my kudos to him.
All right, Jamie. How about you? What do you got?
Yeah, so I gotta go with Uncle Gary, Roger Stern. I think that in the '80s, her like evolution began with him, and just transcended from there. As for artists, go with John Buscema. I want to go with Perez. I do.
Buscema, there's nothing wrong with that.
I know.
Wrong with that at all.
Perez has been on everything, and every character could be Perez. In all honesty, like that man's drawn just about everyone. So, like, I want to give a shout out Buscema on that one. But yeah, like I said, if I had it'd be Perez. But like I said, every character is Perez.
You know what? If it wasn't for the costume aspect, I might have gone with Buscema because he had such a classic look for Jan. That really great look, the haircut, just everything, the facial features. Buscema did a heck of a job on how she looked.
Yeah, and like I said, with Perez, I give that man every ounce of respect on every single character, but it's hard to always be on a character and be like, Perez.
Yeah, I agree.
There's so many more that are out there, but yeah, I would.
No, I love the Buscema pick. I love that a lot.
Yep.
Englehart was good.
Mm-hmm.
Englehart was a good Justice League writer too. And a Batman writer. Steve Englehart, Marshall Rogers run of Batman, our detective. I don't know if y'all have read that. That's where the Joker fish came from Steve Englehart.
And Captain America too. He had a good long run on Cap.
Yep.
That's right. All right. So for my two picks, I'm on Dan's boat. I'm with Busick and Perez. I had to go with them. I couldn't think of anything else that really topped them. There's a lot that are very, very close, but I just went with Perez and Busick. So.
Stern was my second choice for writer.
Yeah,
Well-
I had Stern in mind as well.
Well, that's pretty good. Yeah, Busick probably would have been my second too. So yeah, so it's something that our choices are almost unified here, or are real close.
Yep.
I mean, we
All right.
picked between us. We picked 2 writers and 2 artists.
Yeah.
No. But can't go wrong with what you like.
Yeah.
Well,
You can't go
I
wrong
mean,
with
that
what you
80s
like.
stuff. That's the Avengers that I grew up reading. The stuff with, like you said, around that time that they had Under Siege, like that. Those were the books that I was picking up, like old back issues of, and some of them new in the 80s too, and that's what I grew up on.
All right, very good. So this actually wraps up this episode. Unless anybody has some final thoughts, want to expand on anything, anybody in the chat got anything you want to add and throw in there or ask us questions on? Hit us
Snoop,
up
you're right.
now.
Busick did respect what had come before, kind of in the same way that Jeff Johns did with JSA. He respected what came before. He respected those characters. So I agree completely.
Yeah, same with like Mark Waid is,
without a doubt, Mark Waid. Yes.
Wade's got like an encyclopedic knowledge of history.
Let me tell you what
Wade's
else.
also another one that is you could say every character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you what else Mark Waid has told me he has. Original art pages of Brave and the Bold 28.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Wade has told me that he has the original art pages from Brave and the Bold 28. Nice. Man, that's a pretty penny right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, indeed.
Well, you said I don't think so. She's had so many different costumes. Do any of you guys have a favorite?
Wow. That's a good question.
That's a whole other episode.
I like that white one that you showed
shows
me, Cap.
the most skin.
Mm-hmm.
Usually where I go.
I like the blue white one
would either be the white, the blue and white one, though the shoulders were kind of of the time. But either that one or the current one, that Gary's got the figure of the black and yellow one.
I think that's a cool costume, yeah.
Because that kind of evokes the idea of like an actual wasp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the thorax and the head abdomen, thorax. Yep. I like her birthday suit. Yeah. Careful, you get stung that way, Snoop.
Yep. And actually, I did not mind the MCU versions of her as well. I kind of like that. I mean, I know it was not Janet, but still, I liked the costumes they had for her in the MCU. So I did not mind the Ant-Man movies at all. All right. So I guess this wraps it up, guys. Thank you very much for the top stories and top covers and badass moments. You guys did awesome. I really appreciate that. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for joining in.
Yes,
really appreciate that. Really appreciate that indeed. So,
well, real fast, Sal, we do have one more sponsor, and I think Uncle Gary's the only one that can explain them.
Oh well, then go ahead and hit us up there, Uncle Gary.
Oh, we're gonna talk about Comic Logic.
We're gonna always talk about Comic Logic.
Well, let's talk about Comic Logic.
Let's talk about Comic Logic.
I can talk about Comic Logic. Comic Logic. We are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. Love you too, Snoop. We are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. We're in Northern Virginia. We would love for you to come by and see us. We love seeing new faces and having being able to meet people, find out what it is you want to read, and we're great at giving recommendations. I am great at spending your money to get you to buy collected editions of stuff that you are going to love. So
he's already got me spending my own money.
Oh, yeah. Liz, she wasn't in tonight, but Liz was talking about that the other day, spending her money. But everybody that I've spent their money, they always thank me because they like to read. But come see us, Rob, Mike, and our great staff there. We would love to steer in the right direction. So Comic Logic, Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. Please come see us. We would love to make your acquaintance.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Dan and I have been to that shop, and we both attest to your statements there. That's very good.
I will be there sooner than later.
You will make an appearance there. That's right.
Eventually. Stay Gold Codex. Chattas.
Oh, he's Tony Boy. Yeah, he's bringing some
Is that me?
Outsiders in.
My pony boy? I'm the
Yep.
young one.
You're like what?
Who
18,
was it that played
19?
Pony Boy? It was
C. Thomas Howell.
C. Thomas Howell, yeah.
And Ralph Macchio was
Yeah.
Ralph Macchio was the one that told him that when he was
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
the burns.
Cruz was in that. Swayze was in that.
It was a great cast.
Dylan was in that.
Yeah.
Jamie, why don't you give us
Diane Lane in it?
Yes,
I don't know.
Diane Lane
Yeah.
was in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Jamie, do you want to give us a sneak preview of next week's character of the week?
No.
Not gonna do it, huh? Don't we have a
'cause I'm
special
gonna let
guest
Uncle
next
Gary do it
Okay.
Okay. I'd love to. I'd love to.
because this is not mine at all.
No. This isn't. And you know what?
It's a special.
Next week is very important. And in all seriousness, Chris, I hope you're still with us, baby. Next week, historically, is a special day. It is June 6th, 2024. And that's not just the anniversary of D-Day. That's the 80th anniversary of D-Day. This is probably the last big anniversary where some of these guys that were on Omaha Beach and Utah Beach and went out there and sacrificed so much, for the world. Some of these guys was probably the last trip they'll make to Normandy. So it's a big deal, and we need to do a character that is evocative of that, and it's going to be this guy. So next week, special comic character of the week, 80th anniversary D-Day. It's going to be Sergeant Rock. And you know what? In this day and age, one of the things that really pissed me off is that sometimes people forget how we're supposed to treat Nazis. Sergeant Rock, by example, can show you how we're supposed to treat Nazis. And that's what we need to do. We need to follow his example. But it's going to be a good show. Not only will we be doing an important character on an important day, but we'll also have my best friend in life, my brother from another mother, Mr. Mike Harbor, that is familiar to Sal and Dan, met him in person on numerous occasions. Yep. Mike is got, after my buddy Damien, who has all the big 5.5 DC war books, war titles, is Mike, who has them. And yep, Chris, I know you're gonna be here for that, brother. And so stomp them. You damn right, stomp them. Look at the cover of Sergeant Rock 291 if you need to know how to treat a Nazi. You might see that cover next week, by the way. The cover I showed you, you're definitely gonna see, because I do that every Memorial Day. But anyway, Mike will be here, and he will be this show. This is kind of my a present to him, to have him on this show to talk about the character that he loves so much, Sergeant Rock. And he has, I think he's 49 issues away from an entire run of our Army at War. Ooh, so nice. He is the man. And of course, he has every issue of GI Combat, which he just finished this year, which is a big freaking deal. But he is the man, and I've seen some of the books he's put up to display for this show, which is going to be pretty cool. But come see us next week. Come, and listen, we want to entertain here, and that's what we try to do. We try our best to entertain, to inform, to have a wonderful chat with each other and with y'all. And next week, though, I don't know. To me, next week, I do know. I'm not going to say I don't. I do know. Next week is going to be a little more important because it's going to be, it's going to be a symbolically thanking those brave men and women from 80 years ago that, changed the course of the world by their actions and their sacrifices that they made. So it's a little thing to honor Sergeant Rock, but it's part of a bigger picture to honor that day and those individuals who wore the uniform and served our country so well. So that's my soapbox.
Agreed.
Thank you.
There you go.
See, I couldn't have done that. So that's why Uncle Gary did it.
That's all right. That's all right. We just
story time with Uncle Gary again.
You can read to me any night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Yep. Snoop, totally agree. Yep. We'll go ahead and wrap this up, and we'll definitely see you guys next week for the Sergeant Rock episode. Hope you guys have a 9.8 day.
See you guys in the next one.